Good morning. Thank you for joining us. We're allowing our guests to log in, and we'll start in 1 minute at 10:02. If you'll just hold tight with us for a minute. Okay, we'll go ahead and get started this morning. Welcome to our Better Your Business Express training. This series is brought to you by a unique and fun partnership between Southern Utah University and Dixie State University, and is made possible through a grant from the Economic Development Administration. So what we're doing over the course of the next 2 years is providing trainings to our local Southern Utah community. And it's not necessarily the universities providing the trainings. Will, as you see today, we'll be tapping into experts in our region to share with us best practices that relate directly to Southern Utah and some of the conditions and challenges that we'll be facing during this reopening and economic rebound period. So we've only planned out the first 4 trainings that will happen here in the next few months. And what we've decided to do to be able to be responsive as our environment and economy continue to change and evolve in response to the pandemic is we want to plan 4 trainings at a time so that we have the opportunity to evolve the topics and subjects as our environment continues to change. So we're working with leaders in all of the 5 county regions to identify the issues that business owners are facing. And certainly we're open to suggestions or ideas for training topics if you're facing a specific challenge or need. So last training session, we talked about how to maximize some of the funding that's coming out to business owners and professionals for responding to the impact of the pandemic on our businesses and economy. Today, we're going to be talking about some of the customer service challenges, the digital marketplace challenges, and the messaging challenges that we're facing in Southern Utah because of the pandemic and how that's impacted our specific types of businesses. And so we're really excited for the training. Today, I'm actually looking forward to hearing from our marketing expert, Joe Layton, who is with us. Joe, can you give us a wave? All right, so we'll introduce you to Joe here in just a minute. But first, I want to acknowledge the team that is working to make the trainings possible. We have Colette Cox joining us today from Dixie State University at the Innovation Plaza. Colette is part of this team bringing the trainings to you. Also on the team is Susie Knudsen, who is in Cedar City at Southern Utah University. Susie works in the professional development department. And Tanner Vario is also a team member from Southern Utah University, and myself, Melinda Thorpe. I'm the Executive Director of Community and Professional Development at SUU. And also at Dixie State University with Colette is Colby Jenkins, who is part of the team, but he is not with us today. So we're just wanting to share with you a little bit of the team behind the scenes. And the reason I want to introduce you to us is so that you can feel comfortable to reach out to us and say, hey, we could really use a training in this particular area, or help us identify those needs. And if you have ideas, you can reach out to us by email or contact us by phone at any time. So Susie, will you type a contact information in the chat box for our participants so that you can have our email addresses handy? So we'll give Susie a minute to add those because I want to toss the mic to her next. She'll introduce some housekeeping issues and things that you'll need to know for today's workshop. So Susie.
Thanks, Melinda. In this training, including audio and attachments, is being recorded for record keeping and educational purposes, and we will be sharing it online after the meeting. In today's workshop, we'll be learning tools to help your business prepare to reopen in a post-pandemic Southern Utah economy. We're excited to hear from Colette Cox, Joe Layton, and Melinda Thorpe. Colette, we'll turn it over to you if you can introduce yourself and get us started.
Fantastic. Thank you, Susie. So again, I'm Colette Cox. I'm the outreach manager here at the Business Resource Center located at Atwood Innovation Plaza at Dixie State University. I'm really excited to be here today and talk on this topic. I know that we are kind of numb to some of the messaging. We've been listening to information about COVID for a year now, just over a year now, and it can be numbing, but we're really excited because vaccines are out and we are ready to reopen fully. And I understand that many of you are anxious about getting fully opened, or maybe if you're not super anxious, you're just a little bit apprehensive, and we get that. We're all going through this for the first time. We don't have a roadmap because we're going through this. It's an unprecedented time in our country and in our state. And depending on who you talk to, your customers may say that, you know, they're ready to come into businesses slowly, and you might see a trickle of people coming through. And on the flip side of that, you may open your doors and see that people are very anxious to get out of the house and get back to shopping in person and meeting in person for appointments. So it just depends on the individual, and there really is a mix out there. The main thing to think about is having a strategic plan and considering everything from the customer's perspective. And regardless, you want to make sure that you continue to have the personal protective equipment, gloves, masks, sanitary supplies, and make sure that you are continuing to make things visual as far as your merchandising. Make sure that you have any COVID policies for your staff and for your customers posted, and make sure that you are prepared as we open up fully to make it as less stressful as possible for, again, not only for your customers, but also for your staff. So as we know, the state of Utah mask mandate ended 10 days ago on April 10th. Masks are still required for large gatherings of 50 or more guests. So if your business involves large gatherings, you'll have to keep that in mind. And also masks are still required for K-12 schools, and many of the universities and colleges are also still requiring masks. So under this new law, counties can issue their own mask requirements, and businesses can too. And that's where you need to be able to make a decision for your private business and decide whether you are going to require your customers and your staff to wear masks, or if you are going to do away with masks at your business. Remember that we're not out of the pandemic yet. And the state and our health officials encourage people to continue to wear masks whenever physical distancing is not possible. And I think overall too, just being respectful of your staff members and also of the customers coming in should be priority number one. The one thing I can tell you, and I'm sure you've experienced this firsthand as business owners, is don't get caught up in the great mask debate, because it's a losing battle, no matter which side of the debate you're on. But as a business owner, you should, again, be able to state your policy and enforce your policy, make sure it's posted, and make sure that your employees know how to enforce the policy and get backup help if they need it. This is something that we're dealing with. We actually just had an incident in my office yesterday. Last week, I was hosting a public meeting. I had an issue with the masks and the debate at the public meeting. So it's not going away. And the more prepared we can be with our language and our customer service, the better off we'll be. Immunizations are open up to all Utah residents 16 years and older. And as of yesterday, President Biden posted that the vaccine is open across the United States for all adults. Some states still had restrictions as far as age, but he said that it's opened up across the country. So that's fantastic news, not only for the state of Utah, but also for our visitors who come from other states, so they can travel and feel confident. Immunizations are free through the local health department, and vaccinations can be found on the Southwest Health Department website or coronavirus.utah.gov. And they've outlined pharmacies where you can get your vaccine, or you can find one of the mass vaccine sites here in St. George. That's at the senior center, and then also at the old hospital through IHC. Many businesses are allowing their staff to go and get their vaccine on company time. You do not have to do that. It is a courtesy. However, it's one more thing that you can do to encourage your staff to get immunized. Do you think about this? Do you have a compelling reason to let your staff off to go get vaccinated? If your staff don't have time to get vaccinated, will they go? Do you work, odd hours so it doesn't allow them to get to a vaccine site? Really think about this and try and make it as easy as possible for your staff who want to get the COVID vaccine to get it. Also think about the consequences of your staff not getting vaccinated. So that means more sick time, that means more time off work, that means more shutdowns due to an outbreak at your business. Has anyone here in the audience had an issue with an outbreak at their work? You could maybe just drop a yes or a no in the chat and let us know if you've experienced a shutdown at your work or an outbreak at your work. I know that several restaurants that I work with have experienced outbreaks with their staff because they work in close quarters in the kitchen, and several of those restaurants had to shut down for a period of time until they could get the outbreak under control. So again, there are many business reasons to go ahead and really encourage your staff to get vaccinated. So we keep talking about getting back to the new normal. So what does normal look like anymore? And can we really say that we're going back to a normal existence before COVID? I really do firmly believe that we have a new normal, and we're a little bit wiser, and we'll be a little bit more prepared if we ever have to deal with a situation like this again in the future. But the first thing to think about is, again, just making sure that you can be prepared at all costs. Make sure that you still are stocked up on masks, gloves, hand sanitizers, disinfectant wipes and sprays. Again, just in case we see a spike, we may not see it this summer, but we may see a spike back again this fall. Make sure that you have this PPE available for your staff and for yourself. Make sure that you also continue to have hand sanitizer, and a lot of people have like the sneeze guards or guards between the cashiers and customers that come in. That's a visual thing that gives your shoppers or your customers confidence as they come in. And make sure that your staff members are continually cleaning all of the high touch areas. Again, this is for health and safety, but this is also to instill confidence in your customers who are coming in. It's a sign that your business is clean and that you really care about your customers and want to make sure that the virus is not being spread in your business. So continue to do those things even as the masks come off and everybody gets out and about a little. Also, you can think about, are you going to continue taking card payments only, or are you going to start handling cash again? Many businesses stopped taking cash payments at the beginning of COVID because of the exchange of germs. We all know that monies can be very dirty and germy. But again, decide for yourself, is it time to go back to taking cash again? Or is this something that you are going to continue? Have you limited the number of people who can come into your business? So maybe only 10 people in a retail shop, or if you're in a small office space, maybe only 2 clients at a time. Are these limits still in place? Does it still make sense for you and your employees and your customers? Or is it time to get rid of those limits? Whichever you decide, make sure that it's posted and so people understand kind of the ground rules for your particular business. Are you bringing people back to work, or are you going to continue to let your staff members work from home? Are you going to have a mixed policy where they can work half at home, half back in the business? A lot of people cut back on their business hours due to COVID. They just didn't see the need. People weren't coming into businesses as much as they were before. So to save money on labor costs, they really adjusted their business hours and shortened them. Again, is it time to lengthen those business hours and go back to what you did before, or do those adjusted business hours still make sense? Whatever, and again, make sure that you have plenty of visual safety precautions and signs so people can see that you're still concerned about your customers, your staff, and your personal health. They still have signs that you can print on the Stay Safe to Stay Open website that's from the state of Utah and also from the local health departments. And like I said, we may have another wave of COVID in the future. And remember how it felt back in March of 2020 when we were all caught off guard. We don't want to ever feel that way again, and we can't prepare for everything, but we are smarter now. We are more prepared, and we have learned that we can adjust. So again, be as prepared as possible for whatever is to come. And what we really want to focus on now too is thinking about how our customers have changed their habits and their buying power, or their buying patterns, excuse me, over the past year. Spending money looks a lot differently. And, think about, again, a year ago, if you needed to go to the doctor, you would just make an appointment and drive over to the doctor's office. Now we have teledoc appointments. If you needed to go get a birthday gift, you might run down to the local, pharmacy, or, one of the local retailers in your town and go buy the birthday gift. Now you may shop ahead and order from Amazon and do overnight shipping. How many of you miss going to concerts and musicals and other live performances, or even just miss going to the movies? I know I sure do. The other thing that we've changed is, going out to eat. Many of us have ordered online for a year and done pickup or gone through a drive-through. And so dining inside a restaurant seems a little bit foreign. Same thing with buying groceries. Now you can use an app to go through your shopping list, order your groceries, and do one quick pickup. And when we do things like that, there's no room for impulse buying on those end caps in the grocery store. And so, these are just a few examples to show how our buying power and our shopping habits have changed. And so as business owners, we want to hit reboot, and we want to take advantage of some of these shopping patterns that people have developed through COVID. And also we may want to invite them back to our businesses and get them back in person. So again, just a lot to think about, but now I'm going to turn the time over to Joe Layton from Sentinel Creative, and he's going to give you some ideas on how to exactly invite these customers back and engage with them. So I'll go ahead and turn the time over to Joe now.
Awesome. Hey, everybody. How are you guys doing today? Share my screen. Let me get that up and going. So like she said, my name is Joe Layton. I'll put my credentials up on the screen just so you guys can kind of see kind of my background. So I have been a CMO which is a chief marketing officer for multiple companies. I have a MA, which is a Master of Arts in Visual Communication with a minor in software engineering from Stanford University. I've been marketing for almost 19 years now. So I'm getting up there getting a little long in the marketing tooth. So I'm getting excited, just growing a business. So my interests, so you guys can see that, is my family's my number one. I code in 26 languages. I know that's really geeky, but I put it on there anyways. I like hunting, fishing, football. I played football at Arizona State University, actually, basketball. And then my favorite one right now is watching sports because I'm getting old and it hurts to play sports. So that's a little bit on me. So who's Sentinel? We're a consulting group, actually. We consult with a lot of our clients, and we use companies like USA Today, who's a partner of ours, which is the number one digital marketing agency in the United States. We use tons of different partners to complete what we're trying to do. And so we focus on marketing consulting, graphic design, web design, digital marketing. That's kind of what we do. So let's see, I'm gonna drop this down to talking. Okay, so how has marketing changed since COVID? So let's talk about the first thing. It's re-examining the buyer, okay? The persona of the buyer. And so the question is, what are the new opportunities with marketing in this climate? And understanding, re-examining who is actually purchasing in this new climate, because a lot of people got scared when COVID came out and they stopped going to stores, they stopped going to restaurants, and we couldn't go because we were told we couldn't go as well. And so the whole buying persona has actually shifted. We've seen an 84% increase over COVID of people who are purchasing online. So if you took 100% of the demographic, 84% of that demographic is actually still purchasing 100% of their goods. That's not, hey, they're buying something on Amazon, or they're purchasing their food, they're purchasing their entertainment, they're purchasing anything they need online. They're just not going out and about into their communities. And that, I'll be honest with you, I don't see that trend necessarily changing very quickly. We're seeing that people are enjoying the ability to just do it in their home. Disney just released 2 weeks ago that they're going to keep releasing their new movies on their Disney Plus platform because they're actually seeing an increase in revenue from that decision. And so we'll see that kind of thing. Next is delivering helpful and human content. That's the difference. That's the key. Is it's got to be human. People are not to take away from the whole COVID messaging, but in their marketing, they're tired of hearing about COVID. They don't want that to be the reason that they're purchasing anything. They want a trusted brand that can help them consume whatever data they are. And so digital marketing right now is how they're building that trust with those brands. And so it's gone to the point where just blanketing the market isn't a great choice. You've got to actually go to now where people are consuming that data and educate your consumers about your industry, because they've got so many options out there. We've got to educate them about their entertaining the audience. We got to educate them about helping support consumers through those changes in this time and stuff like that. And so, like, Amazon's probably done it the best out of every company out there. They've built a platform that allows any company with a product to get out very quickly, because you can use the power of Amazon brand to build that instant trust, that long-term trust with their clients, because they've got the trust that they're going to back all the products that go on their site and everything like that. We actually, through Dixie State, we actually have a friend of ours, a client that is actually going to use Amazon to get her product out onto the market. And so we're using geofencing, which is we're geo-targeting certain areas. We're identifying 5 markets that will trust her product immediately. And we're using the power of Amazon to then go out to those markets and say, this is the best choice for your product and stuff. And plus, she's got a really cool product. Your hands don't get messy when you work with acrylics. That's hand-free handles. You guys should check them out if any of you guys are artists. It's really cool. And then focusing on revenue marketing. This is a huge one. Okay, so Harvard actually released a study about pre-recession, everything like that, and that's what they're talking about right now. That's the big fear in marketing right now, is that COVID's going to cause a recession and stuff like that. Understanding that companies that market through things like that, through scary times like COVID, like if we had a recession, if we had anything, they're stronger. So during the Great Depression, Kellogg actually kept marketing their cornflakes. Can anybody tell me who the #1 competitor of cornflakes was during the Great Depression? It was actually a cereal called Loop-De-Loos. Doesn't exist anymore because they stopped marketing. They stopped going after their clients and everything like that. So aiming information more towards priority marketing and the delivery to your bottom line. That's what your marketing's got to be about. It's got to be ROI based now. It's not just hope to go out and, if I throw an ad out, it's going to kill it. There's metrics, like take Facebook. For a young company, you throw out the content and nobody consumes it. Should you pay for that or should you not? No, because nobody consumed it when it was free. So you might want to try $10, and if more people consume it, then you go. If you're not, then you let it go. Marketing's not this huge expensive thing that you have to spend a ton of money on. It's actually, we've broken it down with a formula where the average company needs to spend 3 to 10% of their revenue to grow their business. Now that means as your revenue grows, you keep it at that percentage that's identified that keeps you growing. So if you got $10,000, you spend 3% of that, and it just keeps growing. And so when you have 20%, you still keep it at that 3% and keep growing. And so, and then you have to do the ROI back. The next one is understanding that there's so many tools out there to get your product out there. There's tools and vendors and MerkTech, and MerkTech is just like the HubSpot, Drift, any of your Merck technologies, like games, apps. That kind of stuff is being consumed at such a high rate right now because of people are home. They have nothing else to do. So that's a really good avenue for companies. So now let's talk about entering the market for marketing right now. So let's talk about something called moral hazard, because I feel my industry falls into moral hazard quite often. And moral hazard is when a company comes in and they make you a promise without backing up that promise, and they take your money and they say, hey, you spend $2,000, you buy 100,000 impressions, and good luck, buddy. They take none of the risk and everything like that. And so with this moral hazard, we need to understand that most marketing plans pre-COVID were impression-based and one-size-fit-all marketing plans. You need to understand that your marketing now needs to be more towards where one size fits all does not. It's not one size fit all. It's more custom based. You need to understand where your people are consuming, and by doing that, it actually saves you a ton of money. It sounds like it's very technical, but it doesn't. We have clients that are competing with huge companies. Like we have, point fact, we have a client, Immaculate Homes down here in St. George, that spends $2,000 as a home builder and is consistently ranked 1, 2, 3 on every search result we're going after. Now, I'm not saying that every industry needs to spend $2,000. We have clients that spend $500, $200, and they see growth in their market as well, because it's understanding how to take those marketing dollars, and especially in the beginning of a business, and putting them in the right avenues for hyper growth. That's what you need to focus on. It's just hyper growth versus just buying impressions and stuff like that. So my opinion, impression-based marketing plans and one size fit all marketing plans, that's the moral hazard in my industry. So that's something to keep your eyes open for. So I believe that, like we just talked about, ROI based marketing plans. So every dollar you're spending in this COVID era needs to be trackable and needs to be re-entered, because we need to understand where it's coming from. So just to kind of help you out, I'll let you guys write this down. This is the actual equation on how to calculate your ROI on your marketing. So for a lot of small businesses, you don't understand how to do this, but it's a really simple equation. It's not my equation. It was actually written by a little known scientist called Einstein. He actually wrote this equation. So, but it teaches you on how to actually track out your marketing and understand what's going on inside of your marketing budget. Because right now, if an ad's not working, then you shouldn't be running it. You know what I mean? If your Facebook isn't working, then you got to figure out, either Facebook might not be the right platform for you, or you got to find out if there's a better platform for you that can get you better ROI and stuff like that. And that's kind of what we help our clients do. I don't run anything that I can't tell you what percentage you're getting back on it for any of my clients, from the $100 guy to the tens of $1,000 guy. I don't run it unless we can say, hey, you're getting X return on this. Let's keep doing it. And if you're not getting X return on this, then we need to move away from it, kind of thing. And so that's how we kind of keep our clients in the growth cycle. And so especially during COVID, where so many people went online, so many people were looking for consumable products online, we found that there's no need for as much risk in the marketplace anymore, because people are there, they're consuming it. They're going to build their trust with a brand, and then they're going to keep consuming that brand, no matter if COVID-22 shows up, you know what I mean, or whatever shows up in the marketplace. They know that it's going to be reliable to get it online. And they're just going to keep consuming it. That's the trends that we kind of see. But yeah, that's all I've got. Like any questions you guys have? I guess we're going at the end. You guys can ask me any questions you want. Feel free to, literally any question, any marketing question you want, I'll here to answer it. So yeah, thank you, Colette.
Thank you, Joe. That was awesome. And next we'll hear from Melinda.
Okay, thank you. How are you guys doing? Any questions? I thought Joe's message was so phenomenal, and thank you, Colette, for reminding us that we have some issues in customer service that we need to be thinking about as we're getting ready to reopen. All right, are you ready for more? I wanted to share with you today some areas that interest and intrigue me in terms of business and marketing and key messaging, that things that we need to be aware of as we're looking at a post-COVID environment. So let me share my screen here. Okay. Sorry, there we go. Okay. Positioning and key messaging for reopening is what I would like to talk about today, and some things that we should probably be thinking about here in Southern Utah. So in my career, I've had, interestingly, two paths that I've spent probably an equal number of years in. One is in higher education, and the other is in public relations, marketing and advertising. So one of my specialties is working with stigmatic issues. So stigma is essentially information that makes people feel uncomfortable. So some of the clients that I have worked with over the years that deal with stigmatic issues are the Division of Mental Health, NAMI, the National Alliance for the Mentally Ill, Equality Utah, Squatty Potty, Desert Solace, a sex addiction recovery center in Dameron Valley, St. George City, when law enforcement crashed a Halloween party. And we made not only national news in Southern Utah, but Saturday Night Live made fun of us, which is just about as rough as it gets if your brand is the city. Historic downtown St. George, when businesses were fleeing from downtown. Now I'm working with water conservancy districts regarding the drought in Southern Utah. The Mask Up Utah campaign, our team here at SUU participated in that. And the thing that I wanted to just draw a parallel with is we've obviously experienced COVID together, and we're dealing with some stigmatic issues. But in my experience, negativity has always opened the door for opportunity if we manage this time well. So one of the things that I have heard over and over from businesses in the last 6 months is, how do they reconnect with customers in the way that we used to communicate with our customers? And a lot of people feel like they're speaking, but no one's listening. And sometimes that is measured in the way that customers are now wanting to engage with us or trying to engage with us. And we have not set up those mediums. I loved this cartoon from the New Yorker where this child is wanting to tell their parent they would like a snack, and the parent is saying, why don't you put that in an email and we'll circle back to it. We've kind of converted to this digital form of communication now more than ever with COVID. So I wanted to help you think about new ways that your customers might want to be communicating with you. There are a lot of great academic definitions of what communication is, but this is the piece I want to talk about over here. Rapport. You cannot have effective communication if you don't have rapport. And what does rapport mean? Rapport is the relationship that we have when two people are trying to communicate. What is the relationship between the two? Is there understanding? Is there empathy? And what makes communication possible? How can we ease up that particular relationship? So that rapport is what I want to talk about today. How do we reinvent rapport in a post-COVID Southern Utah? So I like to circle back to brand pillars. In any brand, we have essentially 4 pillars. I like to look at the 4 pillars being visualization. Number 1, what are the images and the colors and the icons that go with our brand? This is really important to consider in a post-pandemic economy. Do our colors need to be softened? Do our hard edges need to be softened? So ways that we can communicate, not in the traditional, I speak to you, you speak to me, but in how we're communicating visually. What types of people and images are we showing? Not only did we go through a health awakening, we went through a social awakening during the pandemic. So a lot of social issues have come top of mind. I don't know if you have noticed the transition during COVID in television commercials. So I'm a study of television advertising. I love to see how TV ads tap into trends and communicate social issues. And so right now you'll see a lot of new color in the images of individuals in television commercials. We're seeing a lot more quality representation of minority demographics. We're seeing more same-sex couples in ads than we've ever seen before. And so there are new types of normalization that we can think about in our own communities, where it fits and when it fits. How can we be considerate of other minority populations in our own communities? So the next pillar in a brand is verbalization. What are the key messages and the words and the phrases and the slogans that we're using? People want to know right now more than ever that they are safe. And you know, it's interesting, in the classroom environment, for any teacher, one of the very first things that you are taught to establish is a level of comfort and safety in a classroom, because we can't learn if we don't feel like we're safe. We put too many walls up, we're on guard. So when a student feels safe, they're in a position or place to learn, which translates to marketing so well. When we can communicate a sense of safety, we can allow our customers to open up and be more capable of having that rapport with us that we're looking for. How do you make a customer feel safe? Any ideas? Any thoughts? I don't want to put you too much on the spot, but think about your own business. Sherry, did you have a thought you'd be willing to share?
Yeah, we are a festival participant. And so we go to festivals all over Utah. And I'm thinking that this year, what's going to be best for us attending festivals will be that as participants, as owners of a booth, we will have our gloves on, we'll mask up. We always talk to people as they pass by the booth. And you get 3 seconds to try to gather them up. And so, you know, just those two things alone. And of course, we keep our tables very clean and neat. We market caramel sauce, soap, paw wax, and then additionally, here's the first news. We're hoping to market fudge.
Oh,
Milk
fun.
fudge.
Yeah.
Yeah. And we're hoping to add that to the mix of products. So, yeah, if we're clean and neat, we always wear our monogram shirts and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
That is inviting to our customers.
So Sherry, I love what you just shared, because you're thinking, how are you going to communicate a sense of safety as people come to approach you, which is something we've discouraged for the last 18 months. And so visually creating a sense of safety and organizing our booth spaces. So we're not having communal dip your hand in to get a piece of candy bowls like we've grown accustomed to over the last 100 years with festivals in the United States. But we do here in Southern Utah, we have our own community events, and we probably all have had experience having a booth or a presence at that community event. So that is exactly what we're talking about. What visually can we do to communicate safety? What verbally can we do to communicate safety? Joe, it seemed like you maybe had a thought. I was going to see if you wanted to share.
One thought is, just like you said, your visual images and colors. Different colors relay safety as well. That's why the healthcare industry uses such pastel blues and greens, is because naturally the human psyche pulls to those colors for safety. And then certain words and phrases can actually cause a de-escalation as well, if you look at that. And so just a kind of a thought.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. One of the things that you'll start to see here in Southern Utah, there is a consortium among the water conservancy districts in our 5 Southern Utah counties. And the public information campaign about drought is just getting ready to roll out. And it's all based on light colors and tones. And so there are blues and greens and yellows and oranges, not bright, but happy, not pale, but by design, Joe. Yeah, to communicate a sense of safety. We're not going to shrivel up and die in this drought, but there are some things you need to know. So the third pillar that I really like to look at is personification. Who or what is the face of your business? Do you have a mascot? Do you have, sorry, let me just jump back here. Do you have a mascot? Do you have a president, a CEO? Are you the face of your business? Who personifies your business? Personification is important more than ever when you're dealing with recovery, stigma, or crisis communication. Allowing someone, a real human being or a likable mascot, to represent your organization. So think about that and ways that you can make sure that you, if you're the face of your business, are showing up in public places that matter for your business, in front of the constituencies that you need to be seen in front of. We've all been in hiding. We've all been in our caves for the last 18 months. So now we need to start looking at how strategically can we personally, and where can we strategically and personally show up. The fourth pillar that I like to talk about is sensation. The touches, the tastes, the sounds, the smells that are associated with your business or brand, or maybe you haven't thought about sounds as they associate with your business or brand, but now is a perfect opportunity and time to think about music that you can be playing in your store, music that communicates relaxation and safety that you can be playing at your booth, Sherry, when people approach you. Ways that we can create that environment of safety so that we can build rapport with our potential clients, customers. And once we have rapport, then that allows us to be who we are, the salesperson that is there to sell a message or a product. So these are the four pillars, 1, 2, 3, and 4: visualization, verbalization, personification, and sensation. The foundation, the base for all of these pillars, I like to call the foundational rhetoric. And this is our boilerplate or our elevator speech. You may have heard those terms before. So in our house, we love balsamic vinegar reduction. Do you all know what the reduction is? It's taking balsamic vinegar and boiling it down to a delicious syrup. And that's what the reduction is. I don't know why, I'm sorry, this keeps kicking out. Can you still see my screen? Thumbs up, can you see?
Now
Okay.
we can, yeah.
Okay. So that yummy syrup that everything, all of the balsamic vinegar has boiled down to is just delicious. And some people love to pour it over ice cream. I think we love to pour it over everything at our house. But it is the very base. It's everything brought down to 1 tablespoon of yumminess. That's what, to me, the foundational rhetoric is. It's not your mission statement. It talks about your values, who you are, what you do, what you sell, what you represent. And that should go into 1 short paragraph. The idea of the elevator speech is I can get on the elevator at the 1st floor, and by the time we get to the 7th floor, the person I'm speaking to knows everything they need to know about my business. It should be friendly. It should be conversational. So think about either developing that if you haven't already, or updating it with safety in mind. You don't have to use the word safe, but think about calming language, approachable language, and empathetic language. One of the easiest messaging strategies that we can all use right now is empathy. I understand it's been a rough 18 months. If you say nothing else, just saying that immediately opens the door to building rapport with the potential customer or client that you're talking to. I understand I haven't seen you for 18 months. It's so good to be with you in person. So using the word understand and building that sense of rapport based on understanding, and that is That is empathy, and that's how we bring empathy into the business culture and climate. So I wanted to just kind of illustrate, here's our friend Carlisle Potter, who lives in St. George, and he is performing here at George Fest, an outdoor event that I used to manage in St. George. So here's an example of a photo. What do you hear when you look at this photo? Any comments? Do you hear anything?
Fun music,
Fun music?
jazz, maybe.
Maybe jazz? Sherry, do you hear anything? Oh, your audio is off, it looks like.
Okay, I'm drawn to the drums.
Drums, you hear some drums.
I hear the rhythmic beat, and like Colette said, probably jazz with the bass, rhythmic beat also. I also hear happiness in the voice.
That's what I hear. That's my answer. I hear happiness. I hear being outdoors. I feel like I'm standing right there because of the angle of the photo. So what do you hear? Think about that when you're communicating images on behalf of your business. The other piece I wanted to show here was the angle. The angle of the photo helps me feel like I'm standing right next to this bass player. I'm at eye level. He's sitting on a stool, it looks like maybe. So the angle tells me I'm right there with them. So think about angles of shots. Think about those sensational pieces that you can work into a photo. This one, what do you feel? What do you feel when you see this photo?
I think I'd be leery of that bird on the shoulder, or on the head.
Does she look like she's leery?
No,
What does
you really
she?
can't tell though, because she's wearing sunglasses. You can't really tell what her eyes say.
Okay. What do you feel when you look at this?
Little bird feet.
You feel little bird feet? What is the emotion she is putting off?
She cares about the birds.
She cares.
I feel joy. I could feel her joy. She's enjoying the experience. That's what I get.
I feel a little bit of fear only because I have a fear of a bird getting tangled up in my curly hair. So when I see a bird on someone's head, it makes me nervous. But I love this feeling of, I feel like she's a little bit overwhelmed in the moment, and can hardly believe this is happening. And I love that magic. So this is an image that we've used here at Southern Utah University to promote our travel, the kind of experience that you won't have at home that will pierce you with some emotion. What do you smell when you see this image?
Good things,
Good things?
good things. Steak, A1 sauce, hot sauce, basil, pepper, all the smells coming together.
What do you hear? What does Tabasco
Sizzle.
want you to hear?
A little sizzle.
Sizzle. Yep, absolutely. So these are some ways that brands have worked in sensation in their marketing strategies. Do you know why we want sensation in our marketing strategies? Why we want emotion?
Is it to get people on the same wavelength as we're on?
Okay. Absolutely. What we're doing is building rapport when we can communicate senses. People connect to senses more than they connect to words, which is fascinating. We tend to focus so much on our words and marketing and sometimes overlook the sensory pieces that really connect. And we need those now more than ever with this recovery period we're just entering into, to be able to connect with people, to emotionally build rapport and trust, and then to have a conversation with them about business. Business almost needs to come second right now. What needs to come first is recovery, rebuilding, rapport, showing our community that we understand with empathy where we're at. Some of the ways brands are doing this right now is paying special recognition to local firefighters, local healthcare workers, doing a special gift or giving them a moment to the microphone before we get to business. And so that's a way that people are pausing to acknowledge. Businesses are creating pause to acknowledge and then moving forward. And I think that can help you be a very empathetic and conscientious brand. And certainly we have opportunities in our own local community to do this. So I don't want to get into the science of the communication model here, but I do want to just briefly touch on how important it is for us to understand the social environment and the context of our relationship as a business with our community. And the big box that binds this relationship is our social environment. And this is where our culture lives. Cultures of safety, cultures of acceptance, cultures of bias and unconscious bias and stigma. And we can make a choice about what the social environment of our business is going to be by focusing right now on safety, empathy. And you might just want to make a list. What culture, how would you define the culture you need to create right now for your business? Most likely it's going to be an adaptation of what it was 2 years ago. I think that you will benefit from taking the time to work through this math equation. What new sensory pieces, what new elements to my brand do I need to, not new necessarily, what updates, let's call them updates, do I need to make to get my business through the next 6 months, 12 months? And I think if we start there, and I think if you take the time to have some intention, that you will benefit and that you will see the relationships rebuild and grow in new ways. Remember I said that stigma or negativity, in my experience, has always converted to opportunity when managed well. How can you manage well this opportunity that is coming from negativity of the pandemic? Do a brand inventory, think about relationships. And I believe that if we do that and take the time, we will have stronger, more meaningful, and better relationships than we've ever known in our business culture. So the choice is yours. And I think that we just have a great opportunity as a Southern Utah community right now to be empathetic business owners and professionals, and to help our community heal as well as our businesses heal and recover. Okay, thank you. Thanks, Colette.
Thank you for attending this Better Your Business Express training today. Please be sure to click on the evaluation form. It'll both be emailed to you, and I'm going to just drop it in the chat here real quick. But we'd love to hear what you liked about this training, areas we can improve, and then also topics that you're looking for future trainings. Be sure to register for our next training, which is website design for the online marketplace, that starts tomorrow, April 21st at 10 a.m. And then on May 12th, we have an HR employment laws training at noon. Thank you to Colette, Joe, Melinda for presenting today. We hope you now feel more confident to run your business post-pandemic. Have a wonderful day.